Well, salutations to the kindred, and how exciting is it that today in this video I get to discuss one of my all-time favorite playing card flourishes. You're looking at it now, the Hot Shot Cut by Daryl. Daryl Easton, Daryl Martinez, the magician's magician. I can clearly recall the day I saw Daryl lecture on this technique. I do believe it was in 1985 at Haynes House of Cards. I was 15, 16 years old at the time, and that evening Daryl lectured on the material from Secrets of a Puerto Rican Gambler, from For Your Entertainment Pleasure, and to be blunt, that evening changed my life. While it was certainly a pleasure to watch and learn from Daryl in a live lecture format, this is not the kind of move you can pick up in a few minutes in a live lecture. Also worth noting that this was before video tutorials. The internet was not a thing, and I had the pleasure of really learning this move from the printed page of For Your Entertainment Pleasure. This is one of the great books by Daryl. Worth noting, in this book, Daryl has a wonderful essay in praise of the lowly flourish, where he talks about integrating flourishy card techniques into your magic and how it can work for you. I'll talk a little bit more about this particular flourish and how you can integrate it into a magic effect. But let's get started with the bare bones of how to do this one-handed cut and then shooting a card out from the center of the deck. All right, so here's the details. Our starting grip is straddle grip position. This is straddle grip with the first finger and the pinky at the outer short ends. The long ends are grasped by the second and third finger, and then the thumb, straddle grip position. This is elevated off the palm of the hand. That's so we can start our cut by allowing about half of the deck to drop down into the hand. Following this drop, our thumb and second finger begin swiveling the upper portion to about 1 o'clock. This is where the first finger can come in and take over the grip, so the upper half is claimed by the first and second fingers. Just for a moment, as the thumb is now going to release and move to the inner right corner and now grasp the second finger's portion as it swivels it outward to the right. It's pivoting 180 degrees, and now it's held by the thumb and the first finger. Let me rewind just a bit here. So we're at straddle grip position, drop about half of the pack, move outward to about 1 o'clock, swiveling the deck out and away. The first finger and second finger claim the pack as the thumb moves to the inner corner. The second finger releases its pressure, and the thumb and first finger now grasp the upper portion of the deck, and they can now move that upper portion to the bottom of the pack. As they do so, the forefinger gets stuck in between there, and we'll get to that in one more second. Let's get through the basic action of this hot shot cut. Wondering if this over-the-shoulder camera might give you some helpful advice. So here we are one more time, dropping it here, pivoting around. It's clipped between the first two fingers. The thumb moves towards the inner end of this right corner. The thumb and the first finger take over the pressure as this upper portion is pivoted 180 degrees to the bottom, and then that forefinger stays in between. So it's that forefinger that is the key to applying pressure to the card that was originally on the face of the pack. You apply pressure upward and outward. That card will pivot around the second finger until it's like 45 degrees in gun position. From here, pulling backwards with the tip of your second finger towards your forearm allows the card to shoot out the side of the deck. So as you complete the hot shot cut, leave the forefinger in between, upwards and outwards, pivot around the second finger, and then that second finger pulls towards the forearm, and I give a little flick of the wrist as I do this to shoot the card from one hand to the other. All right, and so that's the bare bones of Daryl's hot shot cut, but I do have a couple bits of finesse and advice that you may or may not want to use moving forward. The first is this: you can take the hot shot from just a basic two-way cut and make it a three-way packet. So that's 3 packets, one-handed, and this technique does allow for the pivot and the shootout as well. If you want to do this procedure, you're basically going to do a second hot shot on top of the first. So here I'm going to aim to drop about 2/3 into the bottom portion of my hand and pivot that upper packet as in the original hot shot. Now here where we push out with our forefinger, instead we're going to go back for a second hot shot. So I'm going to clip the first and second fingers here, and then in this case what I'm going to do is just break away the top half of this upper portion with my thumb. So I'm just breaking away the top half, maintaining the forefinger in between here, which will allow it to contact what was originally the face card of the pack, so you can pivot and then shoot it out. And that's how you can turn the hot shot from a 2-way into a 3-way. And you know that's more fun. All right, before we leave this discussion, I'd like to briefly explain how Daryl would use the hot shot cut, and it was in the context of a sandwich routine. Now, let's assume you've picked the ace of hearts and that it mysteriously arrives between the 2 jokers. Daryl would use the hot shot as a fake explanation to explain how he got it there. He'd say, yeah, what I do is this. I trained in Alaska where I could make the cards stick to my fingers. It was so cold there, I can do it this way. And then when you're not looking under misdirection, I give the cards a cut like this, pivot your card out to the side, shoot it 360 degrees, 8 flips into the other hand where it arrives between the 2 jokers. Any questions? And it's this style of notion that Daryl advocates in his In Praise of the Lowly Flourish essay, where he suggests that we can integrate flourishes into modern magic handlings, allowing our audience to appreciate more maybe than just the standard magic effects. It's food worth thought. I'll leave you to have that dinner now, and I'll see you on the next video.